Today we're going to talk about how stupid my social anxiety can be, because it's good to laugh at yourself in a playfully endearing way, I guess. And also because I was meant to upload the third Good Will Hunting video today, only I've had a busy week and I've fallen behind on the editing, so it'll be out next week now, for definite. Look forward to that then. Yeah, so social anxiety. I would never actually say I have social anxiety. I mean, maybe I do, but because I've always managed it within reasonable bounds, so I've kind of seen it that there are specific stupid things that make me feel anxious and think stupidly, overthink, but that's probably quite human. It's funny as well, because I am a very calm person, and most things don't really worry me, and I manage worry quite well, you know, big serious things that you're supposed to worry about. I can handle that fine, but if I've got to get on a bus, even if it's a bus I've been on 100 times before, while I'm standing there waiting for it, I'll be counting and recounting the money in my hands continuously just to make sure I do indeed have the exact right amount. I don't know, for some reason I'm anxious that I'll go to pay and discover I'm 20p short or whatever, and that then I'll have to hold up the queue behind me another 5 seconds while I look for the 20p in my wallet, and for some reason that's a disaster. Let me just list a couple of these stupid anxieties I have. So back when I was at uni or whatever, if I was in a class and I needed to go to the toilet, I'd feel a bit worried that I shouldn't go right now because maybe it's rude and maybe these people will be annoyed at me for briefly leaving the room. I don't know why they would. So a lot of the time I'd find myself sitting there holding it in, trying to judge if I can hold it in for the rest of the session, but then someone else would go to the toilet and I'd decide, yeah, that probably means it's fine for me to go, but now they've gone, so I have to wait another 5 or 10 minutes, otherwise it looks like I'm copying them. In my mind, that's what it looks like. Another one about classes, I always used to arrive early. Not because I cared about getting in trouble for being late or anything, but if you're late to class, then unless it's like a seating plan, but most of the seats are already taken, and you've got to pick from the few remaining ones, and I find that choice difficult because you worry, like, maybe I'm taking a seat that this person was saving for someone else. Maybe they didn't want someone sitting next to them, they wanted the space. Maybe I'm doing something wrong by taking this seat. And I hate driving anywhere I've never been before. Absolutely hate that. I don't really know why either. I don't know what I worry about there. I guess I imagine I'll get lost and like end up driving the wrong way down a one-way road or something like that. And also to do with cars, I have this odd anxiety about using the windscreen wipers when it's raining, because this is Britain and it rains often but rarely tips it down. It's normally just this constant pathetic drizzle that the lowest setting on the windscreen wiper is overdoing it for. But sometimes when I want to use the windscreen wiper though, I'll have a quick look at the car behind to see if they're using their windscreen wiper, in case they're not, and me using mine would be doing the wrong thing and I'd be judged by people for using my windscreen wiper when it's not actually raining enough to merit it, or something. And when I'm out walking and listening to music, I only put one earphone in, because if I had two, I worry I might be breathing really hard through my nose or something, and that other people will be able to hear it, but I won't, and it'll annoy them. This old place I once worked at, I never knew where the staff toilets were for it, and I felt slightly anxious about asking someone for some reason, but then enough time passed that it would then be weird for me to suddenly ask where the toilets were, because they'd say, like, you've been here 6 months, what have you been doing so far when you've needed the toilet? And what I had been doing was not drinking anything at all on the days I was working there until I got home. Just to avoid ever having to need the toilet, because I didn't know where they were. And I did find out where they were in the end, but I mean, you can't blame me for being confused, because there's 2 single toilets, both the staff ones, but they both have the ladies' symbol on them for some reason. I can't remember why that was, but they're both for anyone to use, but they just have that symbol on them. Only I didn't know that at the time, so I was forever looking around for a male toilet that didn't exist. I hate having to ring people on the phone. Like, not friends is fine and that, but I mean, like, doctors, the bank, that sort of stuff, things for work. It always makes me anxious, and like, I often find myself rehearsing what I want to say in advance before I ring. Or if I can avoid ringing altogether, I'll do that, you know. If I'm getting a delivery from someone as well, like Amazon, well, not Amazon because I don't use them anymore, but a package, and it's coming to our house. But our house, we've got 2 doors, and it's kind of confusing because neither of them are the obvious front door, and it's not easy to see their doors either because they're both full glass, so people get confused about where to knock. So the smart thing to do in that situation is to come out and collect the package, but I worry that makes me look impatient or something, so I stand waiting for the delivery man to knock, but I can't just stand behind the door because it's a glass door, and that'd look really weird to just see me through it standing there. So I hear them coming, but I then stand in the next room and just stand about and wait for him to knock, and then I wait a second before I come out to make it look like I wasn't waiting, even though I was. And there is more, there's a lot more examples I could probably give, but you get the picture, I think. I'm a bit stupid, like I say. None of these are super anxious worries either. Like I say, I manage them all fine, you know, I don't get in a massive panic about any of them. I feel it a bit, but like if I have to drive somewhere I don't know, I'll do it. It's fine, you know. If I have to ring the bank, I'll ring the bank. And maybe I was worse when I was younger, but I manage it fine now. You know, it's not a problem. But I think part of why I manage them as well as I do is because I don't hate myself for any of them. You know, I'm not critical of how stupid I can be. I just kind of find it amusing. You know, not in a malicious way, in an endearing way. I think it makes it less of an issue when I get myself into dumb social anxiety situations, because there's always a bit of me that knows there's something quite funny about what's happening, and there's always a bit of me that kind of enjoys that, I guess. And if I can poke fun at myself, I share that with other people, because that takes away a lot of the pressure as well. When you make the joke with other people, you stop worrying about what they might think of you. Like, take this for an example. Back when I was about 16, I think, I was in 6th form at school, I had this issue with my bladder that made it difficult to go to the toilet a lot of the time, and I had to go to the doctors and then the hospital and have a load of tests and stuff, but for one point in all of it, for 2 weeks they wanted me to keep a record of how much water goes into my body and how much comes out in how many doses, kind of thing. So that meant for 2 weeks during school I had 1 bottle in my bag with measurements written out on the side, and I'd put all my drinks in that so I knew how much I'd drunk. And I then had another empty bottle with measurements on the side that I'd have to piss into and take note of how much I'd pissed. Like, record it and then pour it away into the toilet. So for 2 weeks I went to school with a piss bottle in my bag. And that is just a prime target for being laughed at, isn't it? I mean, I imagine trying to keep that a secret would have caused me a lot of anxiety, but I didn't try to keep it a secret because I was a bit more confident by that age than I used to be, and because I found it funny, you know. So I told people about it because it was funny that I had to carry a piss bottle in my bag. I laughed about it and I shared that laughter with other people. But I can remember going into a history lesson once, and the first thing I said to my teacher was, "Miss, have you seen my bottle?" As you could expect, she was pretty freaked out by that, but it was funny, you know? That took a lot of the anxiety away because it became some small dumb joke instead of any big issue. I suspect there were a lot of people who found it really weird and would have sneered at me like some freak about it, but most people reacted like I did. They found it weird, obviously, but in a bizarre kind of fun way, like it was some odd little eccentricity. And I think people kind of respect when you can laugh at your stupidity as well. Laughter is a good shield, I think, in many ways. Like, maybe if I'd been forcing the laughter, maybe that would have been different. It would have come across weird or something, but I did genuinely find it amusing, so that dispelled all the anxiety. And that's been my approach for most things, I think. Not a conscious approach, it's just been the way I go about it, I guess. Tell other people about your weirdness so they can share in finding it amusing, because that just makes it much less of an elephant in the room. So sometimes I'm pretty dumb and do stupid things, but I don't mind anymore, you know? I look on it kindly, like it's just some odd quirk I have, being stupidly anxious in specific situations. I don't think life is meant to be serious. I know I've said that in a couple of videos I think before, but I don't, you know, life becomes more difficult and less fun when you take yourself seriously. And that's true as well, actually. My anxieties have made life more fun in a way. There's lots of long stories I could tell that sounds like something from a sitcom. Situations that all came about because of me overthinking stuff and getting myself in a mess. I've got lots of stories like that. I won't tell them here though, at least not today. And I should point out the video for this comes from the channel Dave's Walks. Not like sponsored or anything, just you'll know on my more rambling videos like this, I often play scenic background footage instead of showing my face because my face isn't very interesting to look at. Plus I don't have a camera. Plus I'm a bit camera shy. So I like to try and find background footage if I can to make it a bit more interesting to look at. And I really like walk channels, and I like Dave's channel in particular because he walks a lot of English countryside places, the sort of places I walk. So I don't know, it kind of fits with me in that way, I guess. So I reached out to Dave and asked if I could use some of his footage when I needed to, and he agreed. The bloke's done me a massive favour there, so, you know, check out his channel if you're interested. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Like the video if you do like the video. Subscribe if you want to, and just hopefully see you next time.